Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spar&Brawl. Thank you very much for joining us today. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Sam, and we got some interesting and uplifting news, you can say, yesterday, which is that former Brazilian President Lula can once again run for political office unless it gets successfully appealed by the Bolsonaro government. And basically, the reason is that a federal judge has said that Bolsonaro should have been tried in federal courts instead of, I'm not sure exactly in what kind of place he was charged, but
State
that
court.
is state, yeah. So that is the reason why. But yeah, Sam, do you remember what was the initial charge against him, or yeah, what happened? Why he
To
wasn't
to be
allowed to run in the previous election?
to be honest, I really don't. I really don't know what were the charges against him. I do recall that the Silva, his successor, was brought down on charges that there were money laundering or illegal appointment at the National Oil Company of Brazil, if I'm not mistaken, or National Oil or Gas Company. Um, no, but I don't remember. The thing is, though, everybody regarded it as a political. Not that Lula is not corrupt. I mean, we are talking about politics. Everybody's hands are somewhat dirty, but everybody saw that, I recall, as a politically motivated conviction.
Yeah, and I mean, so maybe one day we could do an episode on all the charges that were brought because that's interesting what you said. Yeah, Dilma, I don't recall what was exactly. So for Lula, apparently the best that they found, and I just found this AP article, is that pretty much they're saying that in exchange for some construction contracts that the government gave to some construction companies, he was given a 1.1 million dollar property, some kind of beachfront house, and that is apparently all they managed to find on him. So for a politician, that's quite low level of corruption, even if that did actually happen. And Lula and his wife apparently say, "Well, we never owned the home, so we never accepted it." But what is interesting is that a lot of Bolsonaro's allies they got charged with some serious corruption stuff too in the past 2 3 years.
His
So
son, yeah, including his son, his sons apparently have tied to Brazilian mafia and illegal gangs and all that. So
yeah.
yeah, it seems like compared to others, he seemed relatively much cleaner, Lula.
Exactly, exactly. So I mean, one day maybe if we have some more information that we can look at all the charges. But yeah, what's your take in general about Lula? I mean, he is extremely popular. I've seen it with my own
Uh,
eyes. No, way. In Brazil, I mean, for a leftist politician like this, they are quite popular, and all the polls were showing that if he was allowed to run last time, he would beat Bolsonaro, and if he comes back, he will beat Bolsonaro again. Now, a lot of it has to probably do with his own personal charisma because Dilma was kind of his protege. She followed him. I believe she was about to finish uh, her second term if she managed to like complete it.
she she
But
she she got what I call Morsiized, or she got Morsi, which was like kind of Mohamed Morsi, that
yeah,
you have a democratically elected leader, and then he or she is removed from power through the use of judiciary, basically.
it,
So that
yeah.
was very, very interesting.
In
And
that
surprising.
sense, quite close. Yeah, in that sense, there definitely some similarities. But however, if she was allowed to run, and I mean, I don't know if Bolsonaro has lost some of his like whatever some popularity that he had, but a race between him and her would probably be tight. But Lula, with everything that he brings personally, he should be
I
able to
I,
reclaim,
I would.
potentially.
I mean, I know Brazilian society is very different from US society, but I would assume that the COVID crisis, both health-wise and economic-wise, has probably damaged his popularity somewhat. I mean, usually people who are in
Yeah,
charge get the blame, even if it's not their fault. And in this specific case with Bolsonaro, it seems that he didn't help the situation, and with his comments and his disregard towards the virus. I
no,
mean, he may have contributed to the worsening of the health crisis in Brazil. So I would imagine, I mean, you visited the country, and you know a little bit more than me. But yeah, from what I've read, Lula can easily beat him
yeah,
if he does run. Although obviously, when you run a campaign, a lot of things and new things can come up and come out. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I might be speaking out of terms here a bit, so people, please correct me. But I mean, yeah, Bolsonaro is like a Trump in a way, like he said, even crazier things than Trump, but like the Republican side, but of course, more of a politician than Trump was, career wise. And Lula and the other side are as if like Bernie Sanders was two times, like twice as popular as he is, something like that, and would hold office. But there are a lot of similarities between like US politics and Brazil politics. With like the Brazil media, people who know the US media, they say, okay, you think the US media is biased and mainstream. The Brazilian one is much worse. And the funny thing is, though, CNN launched a huge channel in Brazil, I think a year ago. And it's just CNN Brazil. But they're apparently okay. They've gone with this angle of getting both sides debating each other kind of thing.
All right. Is the Telesur, if I'm not mistaken, the sort of Venezuelan lefty thingy, does that have a Portuguese speaking channel for Brazil or aimed at Brazil or something?
Interesting. I've never heard any. I haven't heard or seen that.
I
Yeah,
wonder
when I
if
when I
they have,
yeah
because
when I
there
go
is that
to
thing
my
that Brazil has a different language from rest of
yeah
the
yeah
continent in that way, so it might be, it does have a different positioning in some ways.
no, but I think Brazilian media is already huge. I haven't heard of them being a player. Heard my father-in-law or people like that talk about
Hmm.
Telesur. Right? I remember they used to have this reporter who like asked Trump those serious questions. You remember that kinda, and he got some notoriety like 4 or 5 years ago. That's how I remember. That's how I know that channel.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't remember what question he asked, but I think I
Yeah,
recall something like that, but I don't remember
yeah.
what question.
I recall, but I mean, this must be huge news. I would love to hear some more of like Brazilians' reaction
Yeah,
to
hopefully we
this.
can, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe we get a Brazilian and probably regional reaction would be interesting with, Venezuela and Colombia, sort of two ends of the, a fight in the right and left
yeah,
of, which side is the South America gonna go basically.
for sure. But let me tell you about what's like. Okay, I'm kind of joking here, but what's the saddest thing that's happened since Bolsonaro became president?
Sure.
So, Brazil, I would say, is like the only country that's kind of considered as being cool. At least when I was a kid, like when I was young, early
Cool.
2000s, Brazil was seen as, I don't know, I found like Brazil has a reputation that other countries don't have. Maybe it's especially if you're into football. But that's changing, and apparently, since Bolsonaro became president, they've kind of like claimed the Brazilian jersey. So now, if you wear the Brazilian football jersey, it means that you're a Bolsonaro fan, I guess, nationalism and
Yeah,
all that. So I have to kind of start a movement or something like that to
yeah,
reclaim
yeah.
the Brazil jersey.
It's
But
kind of
yeah,
like,
that,
yeah, with the English flag that, it was something normal, but then, certain groups started
yeah,
using the King George flag. And then, yeah, it's now if you put it on, you are not just, fan of England. You're also
yeah.
fan of a certain look, certain color of people. So, yeah, yeah. Or fair enough. That is the saddest thing, I'm sure, that has happened during his, you know, I'm sure this fashion change
Yeah. Well,
was
no,
the
but
most
yeah.
biggest tragedy.
COVID deaths, though, I think Brazil have passed 200 and something thousand.
Yeah,
So
they
they're,
didn't do well.
yeah, so they're up there. They're a big country. But yeah, so I mean, that's really the news. We don't have too much more detail on that. And I guess the Bolsonaro government is definitely going to appeal it. So this might drag on for a bit. But this changes, I mean, everything if he's able to run in the election in 2 years. Kind
Yeah,
of as
that would
much
be
as a
cool.
game changer as perhaps COVID was for Trump, which just completely ruined his chances. I mean, do you still think that Trump would have won? Last unrelated question: would have won if there wasn't COVID?
COVID? Yeah, I think he definitely would have won.
Yeah,
I mean, even with COVID, there was what, 5 million difference in their votes.
yeah,
So yeah, definitely, I think so. Because the economy would have been doing better, and there wouldn't probably be as much tension, and as yeah, definitely, I think so. It's counterfactual history, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But okay, so if anybody's watching this video and knows more about the corruption charges, please write them in the
Let's
description box. Yeah, so corruption charges brought
comment.
against Lula. Yeah, sorry, comment. Brought against Lula, Dilma, but also the Bolsonaro side, I believe there were a lot of corruption charges brought there. But yeah, okay, so thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.